Well, Steve Vizard is a showbiz legend, but his latest project may take some fans by surprise. In a new book, Nation, Memory, Myth, he brings a fresh perspective to Gallipoli and Anzac Day and how it has shaped us as a country. Just so happens he's right here. Please welcome, Steve Vizard!
Thank you. You had me at Showbiz Legend. Can we do that again? That was terrific.
I love it when you get distracted by your own footage.
I was looking and thinking, gee, that was a long time ago now, wasn't it?
What is George Danikian doing there? So when it comes to an idea of covering Anzac Day, I wouldn't have thought from a guy like yourself, known for your comedy, that this would be your go-to.
Well, it's funny you should say that. You only had to look at today. You see those dawn services, you see all of that, 100,000 people at the G. That service happens and they're all ready to scream and yell. They've got pies in their hands and they've got beer. They're ready to go. But you can hear a pin drop. And I became fascinated with what is it that has this hold over the nation. And it started when I was tiny. I was 12 and I had a teacher called Mr. Potts. And Mr. Potts, this shows you how old I am. Mr. Potts was so old. He was in the First World War. So I had a teacher as a 12-year-old. Wow. He looked like... He looked like Gandalf the Grey without the beard. And he'd come in, it'd take him 20 minutes to come through the door and hang his coat on the back of the chair. And one time he actually fell asleep before he started. But he would tell us about getting troop ships. He was 18 when he enlisted. He would tell us about going all the way to Europe, fighting on the front, the rats, seeing his mates die. And he was only 6 years older than us. We were 12, he was 18. And he would give us tips. He'd say, and he was supposed to be a maths teacher. We didn't learn any maths, which explains a lot of my life. But he would tell us, he'd say, boys, if you ever see mustard gas coming toward you, like we're going to see mustard gas, he'd say, it's yellow and you can't get to your mask. He said, urinate in a hanky. Okay. And then put that on your mouth because that'll neutralise the gas. And for years, I wandered around with a full bladder and a hanky in my pocket, sort of just
good to be
waiting, ready to go. So I became fascinated with, not with that, I became fascinated with the idea of what is it about, these commemorations, that story in particular, where it was a retreat, we achieved nothing, it wouldn't have changed the outcome of the war one day.
Not good
it was
for
a complete failure in every sense, but that story's celebrated. So what is it about that story? So what I've written about, what I've looked at, is that the anchor event of Gallipoli as history is fundamentally different from that of a founding national myth. And all nations have myths that are sacred. Every nation does, Waterloo or, the Bastille, storming of the Bastille, whatever. And these are sacred myths that are kind of compressions of national identity. And you look in those stories, they're sacred stories, and it tells you who we are as a people, where we belong and what we do.
So what is it then that is different about the Anzac myth?
Every myth, I'll tell you what's common first. All myths that have such a power are founded on a trauma. And the First World War for Australia was a near extinction event. Of our population of 4 million, 400,000 people enlisted, 400,000 out of 4 million. Wow. And of that, 65,000 died. 152,000 were killed. So that's 220 out of 400,000 either killed or injured. And that's not taking into account psychological trauma because they didn't measure that in those days.
They were all kids. None of them knew what they were in for. It was a big adventure. They had no idea.
No idea. So and then you could walk down any street, any place, knock on a door, they'd lost someone, a mother, they're all grieving. So what a myth does, it's a way of processing this trauma, of making sense of chaos, of trying to say, out of all this meaninglessness, there was a purpose. There is a sense of destiny. And that is the value of a national myth. At its heart, it makes some purpose out of trauma. And we can't reimagine what that trauma was at the time. So when we look at Anzac today, we're not just celebrating or commemorating what happened amongst current people serving. We're remembering the foundations of our nation when those people gave so much to create the nation that we have today. And it's kind of true of every nation. And embedded in that myth is one thing. It's the ethos. All myths have it. It's the ethos of the people. And for us, we call it the Anzac spirit. And it's right in the heart of the myth.
Well, you're so passionate about it. And, I mean, this book is incredible. The research in it is insane just in itself. Everyone
Thank you.
what you have done with this. In terms of your career, because it is so wide-spanning, like, where does this sit? What are you proudest of?
I put it right up there with my kids' book, Here Comes Grandpa.
Wow.
Quite a length you've
It
taken.
is. The last time I said here, I was talking about a kid's book that I've written for my
Not as many
grandkids.
pictures in this one.
Not as many pictures. And you don't want to get them mixed up.
No.
You certainly don't want to turn them up at the Shrine of Remembrance and say, Grandpa makes strange sounds when he walks.
Yeah. Or better yet, kids, time for bed.
Time for
Another
bed.
chapter first.
Right.
Yeah.
The trauma of Gallipoli.
Yeah.
No. I actually, they're all different things, aren't they? Doing a Tonight Show, you know.
Also, Gold Logies are pretty good too. Let's not.
That's right.
Well done, you. I knew we could get that in.
Remind everybody, you know.
Well, find out for yourselves just how amazing this is. Nation Memory Myth is available now, and it is an incredible read, and I think you're all going to learn to see things maybe a little bit differently. Would you please thank Steve Vizard?